All right, guys, back with another look at a Detroit Lions offensive concept from the Dan Johnson offense, the Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson offense. Always a good time. The thing to remember about this offense is it borrows, and that's why we call it the Dan Johnson offense. It's collaborative. It borrows from everything in so many different places. It borrows from old school football, borrows heavily from the Kyle Shanahan playbook. A lot of everything the Dolphins do, a lot of that is incorporated into the Lions offense. In fact, what we're going to look at here is something the Dolphins kind of make a living off of, the bang pivot concept. Last week we looked at a third down or a short yardage play. This is more in shot territory here between the 40s, as we see. It's gonna end up being a shot, but it's not necessarily designed to be that right off the shoot. And we'll get into it here in a second. Um, all right, starts out in 2 by 2, something the Lions do a lot of. That's going to shift into a 3 by 1. So you got two, two, and usually when the Lions are in 2 by 2, you see something where here's Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot right there. Usually you see something in 2 by 2 where they're trying to get him open underneath, either with an option route. Maybe they like to run the choice return where the other slot's going to run a return route, and Amon-Ra will read his defender and sit there in the middle. They run that a lot on short yard. They run that on every down distance, whatever it is. It's one of their favorite concepts. So you're always on alert for that in 2 by 2, right? No matter what it is. So it starts out in 2 by 2, and then it quickly motions in and shifts, right? So you're going to shift into a 3 by 1, and the Chargers don't mess with it. They just declare and stay in the shell. You see the linebackers are going to shift with the motion. Nobody's going to carry with Laporta, so Goff understands what the coverage is. And the thing that really makes these pass sets difficult, especially the 2 by 2s, is the running back here for the Lions, anyway, I should say. The running back is not necessarily counted, right, in a traditional 2 by 2, 3 by 1, whatever. But he has to be in Detroit's situation. This is a 3 by 2. It's not a 2 by 2. It's a 3 by 2. Laporta's going to come down, and you see this safety right up here at the top is the guy we're going to look at here in a second because he's going to get confused. And I mean, frankly, he knows that Jahmyr Gibbs is a receiver. He understands that these guys out here, it's 1-2, and you're gonna have I think that's a Bosa up here. It's going to be covering Gibbs. So I mean, he's got a lot to worry about under here. It's not just going to be pass protection. Let's whatever, and I don't have anything else to worry about. So that's number one. And number two, when it bounces out like this, it's dangerous across the board in every situation. So okay, here we go. Bang pivot. This is the concept the Lions are trying to run right off the shoot here. Okay, so the pivot route is going to come from Gibbs, who's going to run that off of Bosa, and it's a pivot option. So he's going to read Bosa's coverage and pivot out to the boundary or sit inside into a soft spot, and then the bang eight across over the top. Well, I said earlier that the Dolphins run this a lot. Mike McDaniel, they absolutely do. Both with to try to get that bang route open or the pivot, I should say, but really for the bang because they have so much speed. But then also, as we see here in a second, what it does for the backside of the play, it usually can create a lot off of the backside. As you see here, you're going to have the little bender off the seam from St. Brown, and then this is going to be like a levels with the seam bender on the backside. And again, it's dangerous across the board, right? Every guy on the field the Lions put out here is capable of making a play against whoever is covering him, be it man, zone, whatever. And this looks like a shell, as we talked about, right? It looks like it's some sort of zone, two-man, whatever it is. So either way, the Lions have receivers capable of getting open in all of these situations, no matter what it is, be it the tight end, be it the running back, be it the whole thing. So here's the whole deal set up, okay? And this route concept for Goff starts out as he's reading the Gibbs and the X receiver in the bang pivot. He's reading that 1 and 2 first, right? So it's 1, 2, and then he comes back to 3 on the backside if that's open. The backside of this, sometimes it's this seam bender, sometimes they'll run something else off it, sometimes they'll run a little return depending on how it goes, or another choice off of it too. They can do a lot of different stuff. They can run this out of a lot of different formations, a lot of different or a lot of different receiver stacks, whatever it is. There's really no limitation to how it can be done. Gibbs, Laporta, Gibbs, St. Brown, Gibbs, Jameson, Gibbs, Reynolds in this case, whatever. It doesn't matter. The Lions are so scheme versatile, and every single player that they put on the field can do everything that they do. And I think that that's what makes them really unique. Okay, so on to the play, and you see how this thing's going to work out really well for Detroit. You see the bang pivot starts, and here we go. The safety on the top, number 3 that we talked about, who's got a lot to think about here, right? He's going to cheat on the over here on this side. So he's going to cheat on the bang pivot concept and try to help either on the bang or he's going to help underneath because he knows Gibbs is either going to beat Bosa one way or the other. Bosa's going to need help here with Jahmyr Gibbs. So he's cheating, and like that's what he's going to do. And so, okay, which means the backside safety is completely hung out to dry. And the thing about this with Amon-Ra St. Brown is you watch him come across here. I love how he bends that thing. He comes out of this route right as he gets around this linebacker and bends that thing immediately and just completely presses this guy. So this safety has no chance, right? But either way, back to Goff. Goff is reading here and here, 1 and 2. Okay, that's how fast he's going through it. St. Brown running on the backside. Goff, this is covered. Okay, it's not what we want. You could wait and sit, but you got this guy sitting up here. Change the channel, flip it to something else. You see him do it, flips. Okay, immediately flips to something else. And this is the best part about Jared Goff's game. The minute, the nanosecond, right, that his shoulders flip, and you can see him turn. See that? The ball's out. The minute his shoulders flip, the minute his hips flip, or whatever it is, and he opens up a different way, the ball's out. I'm not waiting. Like he sees it, throw it, boom. And it's a huge chunk. Like this, they do stuff like this all the frickin' time in all different sorts of, this is one combination. This is one, example of it. They have, this thing's kind of filtered all over, the entire playbook here. But again, why this is so cool and why this works out and why a lot of this stuff, especially with the choice routes, are so dangerous with the Lions is they have so many guys that are capable of getting open by themselves. And, if you just had the backside, if you were in a heavy situation, right, and you didn't have all this thing spread out and the backside wasn't running anything explosive, and we just said forget it, and you're just going to focus on the front side of this route, right, the bang and the pivot, like Gibbs is capable of cooking just about anybody right off the top right there. And then, I mean, if you've got Jameson Williams running that bang eight over the top, that's also a problem. It's causing so much congestion underneath. You have so many guys to worry about. It's just another really, really fun uh, thing the Lions have borrowed from, like I said, this is a Kyle Shanahan concept that he's kind of made famous, we'll say. And then Mike McDaniel has souped it up even more with the Dolphins. And the fact that the Lions have stuff like this in their offense, which when you think about the 49ers, when you think about the Dolphins, you think about all the explosive plays and the big hits and the speed and the explosion and getting wide, right? And, cutting people to the edge and all the stuff that they do to create leverage and everything else. The Lions do all of those things. All of that, all of it. And I mean all of it. There's nothing in that set system, the Shanahan system the Lions don't do. They do all of it. Plus, all of the old school stuff that everybody remembers when they played high school football for back in the day. They are the literal best of both worlds. It's one of the coolest offenses in football. As a lifelong Detroiter, it is really weird saying that, but it's true, and it's hard to ignore, and it's a lot of fun to watch. So, hope you enjoyed this one. Stay tuned. Podcast will be kicking up again soon here. As camp's coming up, still in the summertime. Most of the NFL is hanging out in the ocean, so I hope you're doing something similar. Staying safe.